Okay, I think, well, I guess to make the most of it, because I didn't mention it in my previous recording, I think Tinkerbell would be a very interesting example of a mechanical engineer, at least in the Tinkerbell series of movies. I don't know if you're of that generation that you may have seen these Tinkerbell movies. And I remember I saw Tinkerbell on Ice, and I sat there with another engineer. We both were taking our kids. And I thought, yeah, that's it. She doesn't want to be an engineer. You know, she doesn't get no respect. And, you know, but in the end, she just loves being an engineer, so that you got to do what you got to do. The other ones I didn't include in my video, I didn't include Daddy Pig, which I now make a big point of showing extensive Daddy Pig videos in class. And I also didn't include in my video Shuri from Black Panther. And that's just because she's so good at everything. I'm not even sure where she goes. I'm not sure if she's electrical or if she's like material, because she works with vibranium. Anyway, you get the idea. So now back to the point at hand. Okay, so we've got forging, we've got rolling, we've got drawing and extrusion. Okay, so with forging is where we just hit things with a big hammer. Right now, it doesn't need to be literally a hammer. It can be a die or press or something like that that creates the object. And I have some videos that will show us this process. So let's see if I can find that's rolling. We'll come back to that. There's this one. What class is this? Okay, I have videos of spanners being forged. It should be on your class notes. I will try to make sure they're in your class notes. That's because I'm on the wrong class. I'm in the year before, and hopefully they should be in here. So there are Reddits dedicated to just watching things being forged. Like, it's called like Smashing Hot Metal, for example. Spanner forging. There you go. And I've got another one here. And it looks like it's at 3 minutes. I don't know why I couldn't timestamp it. Sometimes you just can't timestamp things. Taking it in and ready. Hopefully they're going to show the side. Ready? Ka-chink. Yeah, so it's forging. I'll get you another one. Don't really need to keep seeing that. See, ironically, when I saw that Tinkerbell movie, I thought engineers get no respect, and then I became a teacher, and I tell you, they get no respect. Anyway. How many is 204 seconds? It's like 3 and a bit, 320. Wait, it's only 320 long. Well, there you go. You can see the percussive hit that's forging this. Where? Okay, so like I said, there's some Reddit forging communities where you can watch like videos of cool stuff being forged. Unfortunately, Reddit seems to be blocked at the moment, at least at the time I'm recording this. Okay, so next we'll go to drawing. So drawing, we mentioned this when we talked about ductility. This is just pulling things out into a wire, and I think that's you know, I'm not going to say it's self-explanatory, but it's I don't have good videos. That's the point of that, is I don't have good videos. Okay, so we'll go to extrusion. And with extrusion, so most people are familiar with the concept of extrusion. Like, if you've ever used toothpaste, I mean, obviously it's more apparent, like if you've ever used like the star-shaped toothpaste, but if you've ever used a pasta maker or a mince maker. Okay, so in this case, we can see that it's aluminium extrusion. Look at the different shapes that you can make out of things. Oh, exciting. And they say that many people, their first experience with extrusion, getting all these fantastic shapes, is a Play-Doh machine. See all that Play-Doh being extruded? There you go. So that's the concept, and then you can continue to watch this video to watch all this stuff being extruded. There you go. That's the extrusion process. And then the last process, well, I have a bit of a story. Now, bear with me. If you're listening to this in the video, you might want to hit the forward button. Unfortunately, my captive audience in the classroom is going to have to hear this story. But, so this one time, I on the holidays, I used to go to the farm, and I used to get in trouble for riding my horse, right? And I had this old horse called Dirty. Anyway, and one time I was out in the field, and you know, I was riding my horse, and I saw my parents come along, and in order to not get caught, I then quickly went and hid, and I hid in one of those big, you know, the big tractor wheels. Anyway, so I hid in this big tractor wheel, and the wheel starts to get momentum. I don't know if you've ever seen this, where you just start going round and round. Anyway, so rolling down the hill, and I mean, it was a bit of a situation because they see me roll and they hate, and because they caught me trying to ride dirty. Right? I think I ruined that punchline, which I mean, hopefully just makes it even more cringeworthy. But anyway, I was going to hit the song at the right point, but I you know, when I recorded this the first time around, I had the line ready to go. Instead, I had like the WE part, and you know, yeah, bit ruined. There you go. Anyway, so those people, what I think is, if you're watching this on a video, just remember that there's 10 people who are sitting in this room right now who had to listen to that story. You couldn't, you know, you had the choice to skip there. Anyway, so rolling, you'll hear me make this joke more than once in the next 2 years. So the main thing that we were interested in with rolling, I always like to use the example of steel rails. So steel rails, they're rolled. And you can see that process here in cross-section. And you can see it taking place in these machines. It does sometimes get harder without having like diagrams to see the process, but we can roll sheets of metal. Anyway, so that's available for you guys to look at. It didn't have time to the right spot. Okay, so let's go back to our book. Metals can be hot formed or cold formed. Something is when metal is shaped by an impact force. What would that be? Forging, exactly right. Spanners are an example of a forged product. Wire and tubing can be produced through, if you look at the picture above, drawing, exactly right. Forming is covered in greater detail in chapter 4. Okay, Rollin uses large rollers under pressure. When heat is also used, it will produce different results. So I have that note here, and this is an example where I talk about how I try to put all of my notes up so that way you can see all of the notes for a specific topic, even if they're Year 12 notes. So here's the Year 12 notes for the difference between hot rolling and cold rolling. Just so if you're, hey, what was the difference? I have that there. But we'll get to that in Year 12. Okay, so steel beams. So that steel beam that holds up the roof here, that's been rolled. It's been rolled into an I shape, so that's where it gets the name I-beam. They're also called UBs or UCs for universal beams or universal columns. If you want to write that in, you can, but that's probably not going to be relevant unless you become a structural engineer. And railway somethings are rolled. Yeah, well, I would technically write rail, but that's because, you know, I worked in the field and I'm like, you know, the track is technically when you have both of them, two rails tied together with sleepers. Anyway, okay. Extrusion forces metal through a die like a pasta maker. An example of this is aluminium something frames. Starts with W. Window frames, exactly right. Also, you could argue that toothpaste is an example of extrusion, but, you know, it's a less exciting one. Okay, casting. casting involves pouring, what are we going to go there? Well, I was worried that you might say hot molten metal into a mold, then allowing it to cool. When you do this with plastic, it's called molding. Sand casting, die casting, and investment casting are all covered in greater detail in Chapter 4. Garden taps, engine blocks, and countless other products are produced through casting. So I include my casting videos in this same thing here. Now, I have recorded I've actually recorded 2 videos on casting, just on casting. I'm trying to think. I think I have like a year 11 set and a year 12 set or something like that. I'm trying to think what the differences might be. Anyway, the point is 2 videos on casting. This guy, I can't remember what it's called. Like it's Home Engineering, Ford Home Engineering, Form Home Foundry, something like that. Let's see how close. My Ford Boy. There we go. And it's metal casting at home. Okay, I got close. Well, I mean, arguably not close at all. Anyway, he has like up to 90 videos of him just casting a whole bunch of different things. It's amazing. But we have like an engine block being cast. So this is a BMW engine block being cast. Anyway, I go into excruciating detail in these videos where I go through the year 12 level of notes. So I talk about sand casting, die casting. We're not up to that point anyway. We don't cover this again until later chapters. But those videos are available and they cover both the year 11 and the year 12 content. So we're getting close to where we're going to end for today. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to finish on cutting because joining is a topic entirely on its own. So what we're going to say is identify 2 cast products. Excellent. And engine blocks. Excellent. Okay. Cutting can be done with shear force, so things like punching and guillotines, or it can be done with heat. So you can use oxy torches, plasma cutters, or other techniques. So often things are cut with water jets, so glass is usually cut with a water jet. It can be cut with lasers, and it can be cut with CNC machines, which is computer numeric control machines. Many machining methods, including grinding, turning, and drilling, are listed on page 23. Now, that's as far as I care to go into that detail. Obviously, Copeland wanted to go into more detail than me. You can guess who's going to be writing your test and think about how much time you want to spend dedicating time to those notes. Okay, there's a question here. Identify 2 cutting machining methods. Well, we've got heaps of cutting methods and we've got a few machining. We've got 3 machining methods that you can write down. That will do it for today. Next lesson, we're going to go through joining, where we're going to learn about, there's 2 kinds of joining. Well, there's more than 2, but we're going to be interested in fire type and electrical type joining. So that will do.